everyone. Welcome to Talks on Tuesday with me. I'm Chelsea and Barbara, Julie, and Mary. And Mary is taking a personal day today, and we wish her well. Hi, Louis Therese. Great, you're on camera. We're gonna talk for a half hour and share like we're sitting in the living room. And if you want to just raise your hand if you have something to share, or use the icon or whatever, or chat, it's all welcome. And we also have a special guest with us today, Michelle Syner. She is a friend of mine, a friend of ours. We know her through Reconnective Healing. She actually had her catalyst at the same time I did, which was New York in May of 2021. And she has written a book called It's Not a Chore, It's Evolution. And it is channeled information from her guides. And I have been reading through it. I love the title because I, for one, do get, I do to-do lists, but I'm kind of dysfunctional with them, because when I make a list, then I usually, from that moment on, forget about the list because it's in a list and I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then I never even think about all the things I put on the list ever again. But I think I'll go ahead and share a highlighted paragraph, and then we'll go to Michelle and she can tell us a little more. So I kind of picked a paragraph in the chapter under Ascension and Evolution. And like I said, this is kind of a receivership of information Michelle received from her guides. And they say, "We aren't trying to inconvenience you, but you need to catch up. We are losing time and want you to succeed at what you came here to do. It's too big for you to grasp at the present moment, which is why we are implementing steps and adding more when you are ready. The big picture won't scare you. The big picture would scare you at this point because you are not at a level of seeing your own potential, and your ego is trying to shut you down for something that it doesn't have control over." And I highlighted this because I think if we all knew our potential, it would scare us. I think there really is infinite available, and I do believe this for myself. I believe this for everyone. And what do you have to say about that, Michelle? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yeah, this book is a lot of personal development as you're going through like spiritual development and transitions. So it's it gives you a lot of like questions to ask yourself to like, or different perspectives, because a lot of time when you're just in the routine of doing the same thing over and over again, you have problems seeing it from like a different light. So, I mean, the title of it, It's Not a Chore, It's Evolution, is actually from one of the sections in the book. Because when you're trying to shift and change and stuff, it becomes a lot of work and it starts to feel like a chore, but it's you coming out of where you are in order to move further along on your path. So.
That's really great. It's a, go ahead, Barbara.
I was just going to say, I love that name, and it's very, I think, descriptive and very helpful for what you were just commenting on. So, yeah, thanks. I'm going to mute again because I have work going on, banging outside my wall.
Sure, okay.
I have a question. It's about channeling or something like this. When when Michelle wrote the book, it came from her from in mind from other places or something like this.
It comes from my guide. So there are different types of channeling, and the kind that I'm using is intuitive channeling. Sometimes when people say channeling, you kind of think of the ones where like the entity starts to use your body and vocalizes, uses your voice to vocalize things. But there's also like the intuitive channeling where you're connecting like to your guides or whoever, and I'm doing it in an automatic writing form. So it's once I hit that same frequency as my guides or who I'm, connecting to, it's almost like all the information is there and it can just like, it's almost like they're reading it to me and I'm just like writing it down. So it's not them, it's not my spirit leaving my body in order to, bring the information forth. It's kind of like they're right there beside you, giving you the information to write down. So it's more of like an intuitive basis than it being like a trance channeling.
And
I think
And
intuition is good in channeling.
do you sit down and pick up a pen with the intention of channeling, or do you find yourself just throughout your day, if you're something comes to mind, and you pick up the pen, or you know what I mean?
Kind of both. So I have a spiritual practice where every morning I sit down with my guide. So we kind of have that time set aside so that they can, give me whatever information they feel that I need for the day, or, whatever information they want me to put in, in the next book or whatever. But anytime throughout the day, because much like with reconnective healing, you know what it feels like when you're in the frequencies and you can connect to it at any time. Because I've been doing this every day for a couple of years now. Just at any point during my day, if like I end up with like a problem that I'm not quite sure how to resolve, or I need like feedback or a different perspective of it, I can just connect to my guides and they can just give me information. And it's very quick for me to connect to them because I just know the frequency in order to get there. So I don't have to do like this long drawn out process. It's just me basically asking a question and them giving me an answer and me knowing how to listen for it.
How can you describe your guide? It's something, your voice, or something, a person, or a dead, or something.
Um, Well, I mean, how you connect to your guides, there's many different ways because you can use different senses. So some people, they'll be like clairvoyant, so they'll kind of like see things. And then there's clairaudient, where you have like the clear hearing, where you're kind of hearing the voices or the information. And then you have like claircognizant, where you're feeling the information and it's just kind of a knowingness of what it is. So it's not that one is better than the other or anything, but some of them might come a little easier to you. So you need to figure out like which antenna frequency, is the best connection for you. But with the guides, it's kind of vary, because you have several guides and then you have your ascended masters and your angels that are kind of assigned to you. So they're always there with you. And with me, there's several different guides that do different aspects of my life and they kind of jump in when needed. So the one that I'm channeling is the one that's in charge of my spiritual development. So that's mainly what we end up talking about or, working with, because that's kind of what they were, sent to like help me with. So the guides can be, they can be people that have passed on that, are still like surrounding you. Or they could just be, entities that were assigned to you prior to your incarnation. So it's kind of got to vary. And I can't really tell you like one way or another, like which ones are the ones that are helping you, because for everybody, it's a little bit different as to who their helpers are. And that's what all they are like helpers. They're not going to like flat out tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that, because you always have free will. They just kind of give you suggestions, which you can use however you see fit for where you want to go and what you want to do.
It's something from future, like a premonition, or you gave it a name. It's the second question. Your guide has a name, or what name you put if he would have?
Well, you can ask your guides when you're channeling. That's kind of like part of some of the exercises you do is, you can ask them like, do you have a name? Like, have we met before in a past life or in this life? And they can like provide that information for you. But I mean, when you're talking about like entities or anything that's not on like our physical plane, like time and space don't really exist to them. So, I mean, they can see your future, they can see your past, and they connect to you in the present. So it's kind of, I don't really know how
And
to explain
just
that, but
one more question I have. Do you believe in God? And because of God helping you to do channeling?
I do, but I don't always refer to God as God. I kind of refer to it as the universe or source energy, because it's just all different names for the creator and, the one that, started this whole process that we're all going in. So, I mean, with some people, if they have like religious affiliations, they'll call it God. But some people, if they've had, bad experiences with religion, will choose to be the universe or source or whatever they choose to call it. But I mean, it's all like a higher frequency. I mean, you get to choose what you connect to. So, but your guides are always like there to be helpful and loving and caring and not judgmental. So it's never going to be like you're connecting to something bad with them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have just a quick question. When you say during the day, sometimes you will ask a question. Do you always write? Does it always, or if you're like, standing in the middle of your house or something and you having a communication going on?
It could be either or. I find that the writing makes it a little easier for me because sometimes I have problems with my ego kind of getting in the way. And if I'm writing, it allows like the ego part to kind of move aside so that I have a clearer connection, because then it's like my physical self is kind of focused on writing the words instead of what the words are. So I'm not blocking myself quite as much. But I can, meditate and hear like the voices and the answers. But I think it's just sometimes like a matter of it's just easier for me to write it down and look at it than to think that I misheard something.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think, I've always been open to the universe, and ever since really getting to know Justin Victor and being involved with the life leaders with him and everything. And, I always would say to Justin, and because he also channels, and I would always say, oh, I'm open to it and I'm asking. And, but one thing I've kind of noticed on my journey is I do feel it kind of starts small, and it really is being connected with all that is. And I kind of feel like I'm kind of fine tuning when little messages come through for me in just from the, from out there, like for, and also attending the Catalyst programs with Cecilia. And hi, Cecilia. She's usually joining us, but she's not here today. But I am learning from Cecilia. She calls them downloads, and she'll sometimes she talks about receiving downloads as a dream, and it helps with like the upcoming program Saturday morning, because she'll say, oh, because she shared with me an issue, you know, pre Saturday morning. And then, but she shared how she went to bed and she kind of got a message, and she calls them downloads. And then also before the program starts, and just being connected with the room. And she just, if she has an issue or a question, she just kind of is open to receiving. And sometimes it just kind of materializes. And I've kind of been using that as kind of um, I'm looking her as kind of a mentor in that way, being open to what is available and just receiving it. Go ahead.
I think that when we think at something very deep, we can materialize very easier, or it's more easier if we think deep and we believe in God. We can materialize more than if just a thought and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And go ahead, Barbara.
I think a lot of it is the vibration, the energy field that emanates us, from us, through us, and our thoughts have a lot to do with that. So just kind of touching on what you were saying, Anka, what people think, whether they sometimes disagree with us or not, their own perspective on it has a lot to do with the manifestation of it. And because their vibration is in sync with whatever that may be. So I don't think there's a good or bad or right or wrong. It's a lot of it's so fluid.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Louis Treese. We welcome what you have to say. We need you to unmute, my dear.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to say to the lady, thank you, because I think she fulfilled a very, very important part for us other people that don't have that privilege to do what she's doing. But we can learn through her. And I really want to say, I, as person, appreciate it. And I'm definitely going to make sure that I can get hold of your book. And I want to say thank you and to say keep strength, because we need to know more than what is going on around us, than what we are aware of. So please let the information come. I myself, I feel I am not open to that, because not open, yes, I am open, but I have no connections to that higher level. And for me, whatever, I'm going to read your book, and please let us have some more information for the future. I think this is difficult times, and we need any information and guidance that we can get. So thank you from my part. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not a mistake Michelle is here with us, because her message is reaching the people it needs to reach. And do you have any advice, Michelle, for Anka? Because Anka is in Romania and Louis Therese is in South Africa. So do you have any advice on purchasing the book? Because like I had told you privately, I did have a little issue with Amazon.
Yeah, it's actually available on a lot of different sites. So one of the first online sales I made was actually in Germany, and the second one was in the UK. So it's definitely available in other languages and on other sites. So you just need to check some different book sites online, because it is in an ebook form and also a paperback. But you could also send me like a side message and I can, you know, check with my publisher and let you know which site would be best for your area. So I put like a link in the chat for getting the book from Barnes and Noble for now, if that works for anyone. But yeah, you can send me like a side message and I can check with my publisher as to where to go for different languages of it or for overseas sales.
That sounds
Thank
great
you.
that it's already in different languages.
Channeling can be doing drawings or something like this, because I know that Barbara and Mary are drawing something very beautiful. And I think that inspiration can be a channeling thing. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, because it's when you get out of your ego mind and, you know, and your 3D worries and stuff that are happening on this plane that allows that transmission and that connection to happen. So a lot of times when you're doing artwork and stuff, you're kind of in the zone, you're doing something you love, you're not like thinking about what you have to do next or your chores or your grocery list. So I mean, when you start clearing all of that like debris out of the way, it just allows you to be like a clear channel. And the thing is with like spirit as you know, as opposed to ego self, like ego is loud. So when you start having like in your head, you're, you know, arguing with yourself and it's something negative, that's normally going to be ego. But spirit is very like soft spoken and stuff. So they're not going to try to like override like what you're thinking. They wait for like an opportunity. And I mean, it's a different kind of hearing. So I think that's kind of what blocks some people from having that connection, is because like your 3D human mind is like, it's going to sound like this, it's going to look like this. So you end up putting your focus on what you think it's going to be. So when you're focused over here and it's over here trying to get your attention, you end up missing it. So you have to remember that this is part of your like infinite self that's happening and is part of that connection, and that it's not always going to be something that you recognize or understand right away. You just have to be open for how it's going to come in. Much like when you're doing a healing session, it can come in different ways and in different forms, and you just have to like be open and just, you know, the awareness of like what's happening around you and all the subtleties and how it might come forth.
I want to say something. I think that all the persons that we are here can do channeling, because we are very artistic, and I write sometimes too. And I hear that I don't know. I just wanted to say that Chelsea, with her emotions, is in channeling when it has very deep emotions. I think that's channeling for her. And I think that Louis Therese can, if she wants to say something, I think from reading the face, I think that she's a very spiritual, like, I don't know that if she had contact with person of that were deaf, but I ask if she wants to say something about premonitions or dreams of her.
I have looked there quite a few times in the eyes. So I do know what it is, and I do know what to come back. And that is one of the reasons I am always happy in my heart. But I have recognized many times when I am doing a healing, I do get a download, and then I tell the people, if I talk to you, you must listen and you must remember, because when I'm finished, I can't remember. So that is the only time that I can say that I am more aware to the higher realms and things like that. But yeah, otherwise, I'm a very ordinary person. I would love to have a greater knowledge or a finer tuner to the higher realm, and that I would love to. And I think, as the lady said, but was very well said. We expect it like this and this and this, and then we miss the point, because trees and plants talk to me and to other people not. And but it's exactly the point what she had mentioned. You expect it to be like that, and here it comes completely on a different way. So yeah, it was, I enjoyed tonight very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Barbara.
I just want to jump in, and this has been a great conversation, and thanks everybody. But Louis-Therese, I just have to comment on your comment that you're just a very ordinary person, because from what I know of you, you're not ordinary at all. But, and then I go back to what Dr. Eric says, as far as everybody's special and nobody's special. So I think that that is part of it. But I think in some ways, in many ways, you're very extraordinary. So, as are you, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Yeah. And I guess if I could ask or steer the conversation, I would just ask Michelle. I think I know the answer, but you know, we basically are energy, light, and information, and available around us is energy, light, information. And it is the same energy. Like there really is a oneness. Do you honestly feel, Michelle, that your guides are really you in another form helping you? Do you ever get the sense of oneness with all things?
Well, we're all part of the whole, so we're just kind of fractals, you know, like different versions, different perspectives of part of the same story that's happening. So I mean, you're always got that connection, and you know, when you're connecting to stuff like this, because you were talking about Justin Victor and how he channels, and my channeling is a little different because it's gonna be according to where you are and the things that you need to hear and in the format that makes sense for you. So his stuff is a little over my head sometimes because he's very scientific and all of that. And you know, I do a lot of personal development study stuff on the side, so my stuff is going to fit a little bit more into that. It does not mean that his is more important or that mine's less important. It hits the group of people that it needs to and it is meant for, you know, because everyone learns a different way using different formats. So there is no right or wrong. Like all the information is coming out for, you know, similar purposes, and it reaches the people that it's most appropriate for how they learn and what makes sense for them and the path that they're on.
I want to say that Admi is like a voice in the head, guided by intuition and perspective. I
Yeah.
think.
It really comes down to allowing and listening and receiving.
Yes.
But yeah. Well, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. We've reached the half-hour mark, but this has been wonderful. And thanks, Gordy, for joining us, even though you can't really speak. And we will be recording this and posting it on our YouTube channel, Talks on Tuesday. And if you want to comment or anything on those videos or see past episodes, we welcome it. And but this has been great today. And Anka, are you happy? Smile. You got there you go. And thanks for the compliments, Anka. I heard you, and we really, I think Anka, you know, nailed it on the button. Channeling can be artwork, channeling can be emotions. It's not limited, that's for sure. And but thanks for joining us, everyone, today. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Thanks. And thanks again, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Louis-Therese.
Bye.